advantages, disadvantages. We'll see one by one. See the differences of object and classes. So object is an instance of a class. Class is a blueprint or a template from which objects are created. So these points we discussed already, first point. So object is a real world entity like pen, paper, laptop, desk, so vehicles, mouse, chair, anything. So that is physically visible, that's an object. Class is a group of similar objects. It's just a template. Okay, it's just a template. And object is a physical entity, class is a logical entity. So object is created through new keyword, and this is how we are creating the object for a class. Class name, reference of object equal to new class name parenthesis. Class is declared using class keyword. Class name. So object is created many times as per requirement. Class is declared only once. So object allocates memory when it is created, and class doesn't allocate memory when it is created. And so there are many ways you can create object. One is using new keyword. There are other ways is new instance method, clone method, factory method, deserialization. These are the other ways you can create object. So there is only one way to declare the class is using class keyword. So that's all about difference between class and object. So what are the OOPS concepts we have? So we have OOPS concepts: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. These are the different OOPS concepts. And again, so we have two types of OOPS concepts. One is object-based programming languages, object-oriented programming languages we have. Object-based programming language basically which doesn't support all the OOPS features. But object-oriented programming language which supports all the OOPS features. So inheritance is not supported in object-based programming languages. Object-oriented programming languages, so inheritance is supported. So Visual VB, so this is the example for the object-based programming language. Java is an object-oriented programming language. So these are the examples: JavaScript, VB, these are object-based languages. And C#, Java, Ruby, Python, these are the object-oriented programming languages. The advantages of OOPS is, so Java, OOPS makes development and maintenance is easier. OOPS provides a data hiding, so it avoids a duplicate code. And so OOPS shows the functionality to the user and hides internal logic. So that is the advantages of OOPS. So the encapsulation is, what is meant by encapsulation? Let's discuss the first OOPS concept, encapsulation. So encapsulation means binding data and code as a single unit. Binding data and code as a single unit is called encapsulation. And data means you can declare with non-static variable you can use. Code means you can write a code using non-static methods. Any other questions?
We have to use only non-static methods, or I don't understand.
So you can use both.
Yeah, okay.
But mostly for objects case, non-static only will use.
Okay.
But static methods also you can create. Not an issue, but mostly people will use
Non-static. Okay.
Okay. How you can create an encapsulated class? So basically, a class inside you have variables and methods. So class inside you have variables and methods. They're binded together, right? They're binded together in one unit. So they're binded together. So that is encapsulation. Basically, every class is an encapsulated class, but there are rules how to create encapsulated class. There are rules. So what are the rules? So rules are, you have to declare your variables as a private and use these variables inside the public non-static methods inside. Your variables you will declare instance variables and methods you will declare public. Any logic you want to build, so it's inside the method body only. For the data, you want to set the data, you want to get the data, everything you will write in the method body. That's the method body will be so handling the entire logic. And why you are making variables private, you are hiding the data. So data hiding can be done using encapsulation process. All your bank data, so that is so hidden by this encapsulation process. Definitely every bank software will use, or wherever the sensitive data is there, you don't want to show anybody, encapsulation comes into picture there. All your, so your bank account number, balance, account holder name, everything will be created as a private variables. And now if you go to ATM center, so all those methods are public methods. So ATM center is one software. That software deployed on the machine, and so when you do, in the GUI, you do some actions internally, the code will execute. But all this, so particular user only can see that his own data, but others cannot see that data. The reason is because of this private keyword you are using for your variables. That's the main concept of encapsulation. So let's take an example here. So this everything came in one line. Okay, so fine. So here we have two classes. One is album class and stockkeeper class. So this album is maintained by stockkeeper. Stockkeeper is going to manage the albums. So you just created a album class. It has album name, album artist, who is the artist of that album, and album price, number of copies present. You can so create a instance variables here and some methods. But if you, I'll show you both the two cases. If you don't make album variables as a private, what will happen? If you make them private, what will? If you don't make them private, what will happen? If you make them private, so what is the behavior? Both you are going to understand now. We'll understand. So stockkeeper is another class. So you need to use these variables in this class. So in this manage album class, this is a method.
Minus 1 if you do, you'll get the last element index. So what is the first element index?
Okay. Can I color? Can I go on mute? To listen this class, madam. You can listen later to that array concepts. Okay. So stockkeeper inside you have a manage album class. So manage album inside you have parameters. So parameters syntax we know already. It's a data type and the variable, comma. So data type variable. So like this, you can declare multiple parameters. So we'll write that. Okay, so this is the album class. We're making first public. So what will happen? If you make public, what will happen? Then stockkeeper is going to access them, right? So how it is going to behave. So that we will see. And what is the problems? So what are the problems are there if you use them as a public variables for a particular class? And let's go and see that first. Create here, okay, album class. So I'm not taking main method. I just want only plain class. Here. Public. I'll just copy. We don't want to waste time. So just move on. See this. So public string name, public string artist, public double price, public int, number of copies. So these are the 4 public instance variables. What are these? Just declared. Declaration of the instance variables. And these are the methods in whole instance methods we created. Okay, instance methods we have created. Now, I'm going to create a stockkeeper, another class, stockkeeper class. So I'll take the main method, I'll execute. In this stockkeeper class, the methods, whatever I am going to create here. Basically, stockkeeper is going to have his name and constructor. One constructor I'm creating here, parameterized constructor. I'm going to give a stockkeeper name. That's a one manage album method I'm creating because this guy is managing the albums. So that's why the manage album method and what are the album names and everything we are passing. So that is one thing. And so this is the constructor. See how to again instance variables first. Okay. So instance variables we declared. Instance are non-static variables. So if you know the definitions, you can understand what is meant by instance variable. We discussed very, very clearly. And this is the parameterized constructor. So basically constructor you can create whatever the class name is there, same will be the constructor name. So access modifier, class name, parenthesis. This is the data type, parameter name. So this dot name equal to name. What is this keyword? So you are listening first time, right? This is a reference variable which refers to current class objects. Which refers to current class objects. Current class objects means
Stockkeeper.
basically this is the one object. And what are the methods you're creating? Those are so the current class objects if you want to refer. Any, so for example, you have here also parameter name. This is the constructor parameter name. But what about this?
Instance.
Instance variable. So instance variable name, parameter name. Please catch this. Instance variable name, parameter name is same. And how you will differentiate, for example, if you don't use this keyword, what will happen is this. Now, can you tell me which is the instance variable, which is a parameter?
It will be confusion.
So can you distinguish now?
No,
No, both are same.
See now instance variable, what is the color, and this parameters, what is the color you can observe? At least that you can identify them.
Instant is blue color, parameter is brown.
brown color.
So the parameters is local to that method only. Parameters are local to that method. But instance variables are global, right?
Global.
You are not calling here global variable here. It's not representing. So when there is a parameter and instance variable name is same, that time to represent the instance variable, you have to use
This keyword.
this keyword will represent the current class
Class
instance.
instant variable.
Now this part is an instance variable representation. And this part
Local.
and this parameter name.
Parameter.
So that is the main concept of using this keyword. If two variables having same name, one instance variable and any parameter is same, how you can distinguish them? For instance variable before, just call this keyword. Can I call this keyword for this? No. Wherever you use this keyword, that is going to be an instance variable. Okay. So always this parameter you are going to assign. What the assignment operator will do?
Right side value assigning to left side value.
Right
This
side value,
value
copy to left
to
side variable.
left side variable. Copied. This is copying into
left
this
side
left side
variable.
variable. That's what this responsibility. The single equal to, that is called assignment operator. So this value is copying into here. Here means where? Where it will go? It will go
Instance.
to,
Instance.
Instance variable.
so it is going to store in this instance variable. Now, I'm going to create a manage album because this guy is going to manage the albums. So create a manage album method. So manage album method is ready now. So what is this manage album? Public void manage album. So what is this? Can you tell me what is this?
Parameterized
Parameters. Data type.
Data
Class.
type.
No.
Class object.
Get confused. That's why I'm changing this to reference variable. People will confuse why you are giving like that. So remember the syntax of object reference variable. Okay. Okay. Now, let's go and create a. This is click static void main. So I want to execute. If I want to execute, I need a main method.
Main method.
Control Shift format. So code is now formatted properly. Okay. So can you see here this manage album? How many parameters it has?
1, 2,
5.
5, 5,
Five parameters.
So this name is the main album name. This one is artist name, price, number of copies. So these are all belongs to a manage album
Manage album
parameters.
parameters.
When you call the manage album method, you're going to give this value, this value, and this value, this value, and this value. These many parameters. Now I am calling. See, album class variable I am calling here. Why I am able to call album object dot? So this is instance variables, right? This instance variable, this class instance variable. How can you call in another class? Object
Object
Using
dot
object
dot
name.
variable.
variable equal to this one. I'm assigning the parameter name is I'm assigning to this one. So the parameter name I'm assigning to this dot artist. So the album object dot artist. Album object dot price equal to price. Album object dot number of copies equal to number of copies. So this is how you can access the this. So manage album thing. So manage album method. And so I want to print these details. I want to print these details. How can you print them? See, album managed by this dot name. This dot name means which name?
Current,
Album name, stock keeper name.
current class.
What is
Album.
the current class?
Album.
Stock keeper. Stock keeper.
Keeper.
So what is that? So instance variable.
Name.
Name.
Name. So how I am calling that instance variable name?
This dot
This
name.
dot name.
So what is the difference between this dot name or this album object dot name?
This refers to
This is a-
current class.
This will refer to
Current
Current
class.
stockkeeper class. Stockkeeper class instance variable. Album object will refer to this
Manager.
parameter, this parameter, this parameter, album class object. Album class object dot instance variable. Album class object dot artist. Album object dot price. Album object dot number of copies. So number of copies. Okay. So system.out.println printing mail album was managed by this guy, and album name, album object dot name, album artist, dot artist, album object dot price, album object dot number of copies. Okay, so this is all freehand. He can call this method and he can give his own data. So this is stockkeeper. So how can you call this method? This is what type of method is this?
Non-static.
Non-static method.
Non-static parameterized method. How to
Parameter.
call non-static parameterized method?
Reference object. Creating an object for the class.
Create an object for the class. So let's go and create the object.
Using new keyword.
Class name reference of object equal to new.
Class name.
Yeah.
Object reference dot non-static.
So now our class name is stockkeeper. SKOBJ equal to new
Okay.
stockkeeper. And you can, so pass, why it is throwing error? This is not a default constructor. So here what constructor you have?
Parameterized string parameter.
Parameter.
This is the parameterized constructor. Constructors are two types: default constructor, parameterized constructor. So this is the parameterized constructor. That means you have to, when you are calling this constructor, so where you will call a constructor generally in the object line here, but here there is no default constructor here, right, in this class. So you have only parameterized constructor, pass that parameter. Okay, so I have created object. Now how can I call this method?
Object reference dot
Object
non-static
reference
method.
dot method.
Non-static method.
So pass all the parameter values one by one. First one is, so
Name.
what is this object, this value? What is this value? Album object reference value.
Yeah.
Hmm? What is this album object reference value? What is this, Sandy?
Album.
From class.
Album.
What is this format? What is left now for this? How is
Object reference dot.
what is the object reference? I want to give this parameter value, right?
Ob-
How can you give the parameter value for object reference? What is the value of object reference? Hmm? Lenny?
Sir, initialization,
In normal for loops text.
initialization condition, initialization, semicolon, condition, acceleration,
Per first per bracket initialization.
Yes, so who is that?
bracket,
Chandrakala? Why you are
semicolon,
listening now that class, Chandrakala?
then
Sir?
again
Madam,
Why are you listening to that video
per
now?
bracket initialization then semicolon.
Why are you
Then
listening those classes now?
condition,
You have to concentrate here, not those classes, madam. These are important classes. And you're not understanding the object creation process at all. Nobody got the object creation process. What is this, madam? So really, I was keep on telling
New.
attention for the concepts.
New.
madam, is that indexes?
zero.
You?
You start with one and you're ignoring first one. Remember,
Chandrakala, I'm going to remove you from the class.
zero.
Sir, for initialization.
Clear?
Sir,
Why are you listening those videos, madam, here in the class?
So the first element index.
How you will, guys, so please, now here also I have given what is the value of object reference.
New.
New
What is the-
stockkeeper.
First of all, tell me for my question. So what is, understand the question. What is the value of object reference?
New stockkeeper gender. New stockkeeper John Doe.
Madam, did I ask you What is the stock keeper object reference? Did I ask you? I'm asking generic.
New class name.
Here also there, in this line is there, in this line is there. You can tell the basics concept. These are all, madams. New class name is the value of this this reference. Wherever assignment operator is there, that right side one is the value for this variable. Is this clear for everyone or still pending? What is the object reference variable?
New class
New
name.
class name.
So the value of object reference variable is always
New
new
class.
Class name.
class name parenthesis is the value for this object reference. Now tell me this object reference value. What is the object reference value I need to write?
New album.
New album you have to write.
కొత్త ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్
The first parameter is done. Now second parameter, you give the, so that album name. I'll just copy from here album names. Okay. So the album name is Slippery When Wet. Bon Jovi is the artist name. Minus 1,000 is the price. Minus 50 is the minus 50 is the
Number of copies. Number of
copies. So is this possible negative price, negative album numbers will be available?
No.
No.
So is that possible in the reality? Negative price, negative
No.
number of copies will be available for the books or anything?
No.
But so we are not controlling, right? He is giving his own data. This guy is giving his own data. There is no control for that. See that now it is going to print all the values as it is, whatever you have given. So it is printing as it is. The album managed by this guy, but album name is Slippery When Wet. Artist is Bon Jovi. Album price is 1,000. Album number of copies minus 50. But these are not valid. How can you control this? But this guy doesn't have a control, right? This guy doesn't have a control. He is giving his own data. Where you need to control that? The price and the number of copies, where you can control? Or this, whatever it is, where you can control?
The album class.
The album class we need to control. And also first stop giving a permission for these variables. How? By accessing by other classes. How can you stop permission for other classes by, so these variables?
Making them private.
Private.
Making
Private
them
access.
Private.
Now this is without encapsulation process. Without encapsulation process, the problem is there is no control. They are giving their own data. So to make it under control of this album class can control everything. So his data he can control. So how he can control? Make them
Private.
So variables you have to make private in the encapsulation, and methods public.
Public.
Methods are public. So we can create every variable you will get one setter method, one getter method. Every variable has a one setter and one getter method. Now, so this for name. So your setter method is, your method name starts with a set keyword, and the name is so it is going to join set name. And the getter method is a return type method. Setter method is a void method. Getter methods are return type methods. And same way, set artist, get artist. Set price, get price.
Get price.
Set number of copies, get number of copies. So that means set means you are setting the value. Get, you are getting the value once you set into these variables. So once you set the value, you can get it back. That's a setter methods and getter methods. So every variable, so you have an option in the Eclipse, you can generate or you can write. So first I'll write for one variable, later you can, so public void non-static method, public void set, the variable name is going to come here, set name, you're setting the name. And in the parameters, you have to take the data type, same data type. Now see, it is a instance variable and parameter name, both are same. Then how can you differentiate this and this one?
With
This
this
keyword.
Using this
This
keyword.
dot
Name.
name equal to
Name.
next. So this is the setter method. Setter method, how it is starting?
Set.
Void type and set keyword. And getter method. So getter method, what it will do?
Get
It
the
will return back.
return the
Get the value, get the
value.
name value. And this one, set the, assign the
Value.
name value. So do you understand why do you need a setter method? So to give value for this instance variable. Wherever you need a value for this name, you need to call setter method. Wherever you want to get this name value, what you need to call? Getter method. So what is the return type of this name? What is the data type of name? Same is the data type.
String.
String get name.
Name.
So it's a return type method, return name.
Name.
That's a, for every variable, one setter method, one getter method will be there. So, sir, how can you generate the remaining things? Let me generate now. Remaining things I will generate through Eclipse. Eclipse has a provision to generate setters and getters. Select which variables you want to generate as setters and getters. Right click, source, see that, generate getters and setters. So select all, where you want this, where you want to place this. After get name method. So here I am asking to create them. See that all are created. See, set artist, get artist, set price, get price.
Get price.
So get number of copies, set number of copies. But problem for us is now with the price, right? So I'm going to control now. See that I'm going to write a logic. So what logic you need to write? So here, if
price.
price is greater than 0, then so you write this dot price equal to price. Else, so this dot price equal to, what is the value? 0.0, you set it. You are fixing so that even if he gives wrong also, you are controlling here. Number of copies greater than 0, then you set whatever the value is giving. So that value will come here and store in the instance variable. And zero. So that's the logic we are building up. So now we are ready. But see, stockkeeper is not accessible. Why these variables are not accessible? They are making,
Private.
we made them permission. Nobody can access out of this class. See, that's why I accessed this variable in this method. See, these methods I used. So anything you can change your variable value, you can get the variable value in the methods only, setters and getter methods only. Now you can call them here. See, now These are not accessible. Why these are not accessible?
Sir,
Private.
modifier private.
Private. So now how can you set this name value now? So you call the
Set method.
setter method, you call it, and pass this parameter value. So that's the how to make changes. And same thing, get artist. Sorry, set artist. So set artist value you have to give here, artist. I'm giving this artist, this parameter I'm passing here.
Set price.
Set price. Method naming conventions. So we already discussed this method naming conventions. So that naming conventions, you write it. So set number of copies. Okay. So this is how you can do that. And see here, you need to get now, right? First you set it. So now the value, if you call the set method, what will happen?
It set the value.
This value will go and store in the album class instance variables. Now you need to get, now you stored in the memory. So now you are storing in the memory, right? This is the object, right? That object, it will store whatever the value you are giving. So now you get it. How can you get it?
Get
Get name. And get artist. And get price.
Get number.
So that is the setters and getters. What is the setters purpose? Why do you need a setters method?
Set the
For
value.
setting the value.
For what?
Instance variable.
Instance variable values you can set with a setter methods. So getter method purpose is?
Is to get the instant variable values.
So instance variable value, you will use a getter methods. So now see, even if you give a negative value also, full control by the album class. See, it's not getting negative prices. Okay, that's what we want. Everything, so it should be controlled by the encapsulated class. And you can edit the instance variable value with a setter method. You can get the value with a getter method.
Getter method.
So that's the main concept you need to understand there. And here many concepts we covered. Please understand the concepts first. So just no listening, I listen the video, not the things. See here, the object reference variable I am passing. That value, so you are not able to answer for that. This is the value. New class name parenthesis is the value. If I ask you SK object, you tell new stockkeeper parenthesis value, parameter value. This is the object value. This object value is this one. But album, this object value is a new album. So this is a data type. What data type? This variable data type, album data type. So that means that variable value is going to be object of that. New album is the object. So that's the how you can so
Sir, please
work out.
explain it once, sir.
Hmm?
Sir, in parameters, we'll write a data type variable now, sir. Why we take album obj and data type as album? Album is not a data type, no, sir.
Class data type.
Album is not a data type. So first tell me what are the data types, madam?
Oh, okay, sir. It's a non-primitive data type we have taken here.
Then it's not a data type.
Sir? Yes,
Data
sir.
type,
Yes.
data types means only primitive data
Yeah,
type.
yeah. No, sir. No.
Then what is the problem?
Okay. I understand.
Data types means both, madam. Not only you are thinking only always integers, then string is also not primitive data type, right?
Yes.
Then now why I am using here? Data type means any data type you can use.
Okay.
Not the only integer, boolean, character, double, float.
Okay.
Is it clear for all other people?
Yes.
Okay. That's all about encapsulation. What is encapsulation? You need to answer. So binding the data and code as a single unit is called encapsulation. Encapsulation is mainly used for security reason purpose to hide the data. So to secure your data, you will use encapsulation concept in the real world applications. So mostly banking applications, wherever sensitive data is there, this encapsulation concept is applied automatically. So the Java developer means you are going as a Java developer, automation developer. You must know that. And how you can achieve encapsulation, making the variables as a private and declaring the
Method-
public setter
method.
and getter methods. Setter methods are used to set your instance variable value. Getter methods are used to get the instance variable value. Clear? Let's move on to the next one. Constructor part. What is meant by constructor? A constructor is a special type of method in Java. Constructor is a special type of method in Java. It is used to initialize the objects. So what it does? This is the lot of meaning is there here. It will initialize the objects. Objects means what are the members of object? What things you will consider as objects? So instance variables.
Methods.
These are the objects. So Java constructor is invoked at the time of object creation. So when the constructor will be invoked, see that. This is the object, right? So when this constructor is calling,
Creating the object.
so in the object creation time, the constructor is automatically calling here. I already given all the parts of this line. This part is constructor, but this entire thing is called object. So this is the reference variable. This is the assignment object. So this is the data type of this variable. Already given, again I am giving one more time. And so this is the constructor part. It is invoked at the time of object creation. See, here you are creating object. In the object line, you have a constructor. And it constructs the values. And that means it provides the data for the objects. Like based on the what data type your variable is that. So it provides the default values. If it is a integer, 0. If it is a boolean, false. It is a string, null. It is an object, null. These are the default values that constructed by this constructor. So rules for creating a constructor is a constructor name must be same as its class name. A constructor name must be same as its class name. A constructor must have no explicit return type. A Java constructor cannot be abstract, static, final, and synchronized. These keywords you should not use in the constructor line. There is no return type also for the constructor. See that. The constructor is having any return type here?
No.
What is there? Access modifier is there, class name is there. See, whatever the class name is there, that's a constructor. But it has a parenthesis here, but class name doesn't have a parenthesis. That's the difference. But class name and constructor name is same.
Same.
So there are two types of constructors: default constructor, parameterized constructor. So default constructor means, so if the constructor doesn't have parameters, then that is called default constructor. See this. This is the default constructor, and this is the parameterized constructor. So default constructor, sir, where you created here? There is no constructor here, right? Then how you are getting this? So default constructor is not created in the class. Compiler will create one constructor automatically. That's why you are able to call here this constructor, default constructor here. Even though we didn't create in this album class constructor, who is creating a default constructor for this class? Compiler. Compiler will create one default constructor even though if you are not creating. Automatically it will create if you are not creating. That's why you are able to call this. So that is the reason you are able to call here the default constructor here. This part is the default constructor, right? And if a class has a default constructor, while creating object for a class, no need to pass any parameter values. See, I didn't pass any parameter values. No need. So what is the purpose of default constructor? So it provides the default values to the objects. Just now I told you, 0 for integers, null for objects, depending on the data type of your parameter. So parameterized constructor is, so it has a parameters in the parenthesis. So this is the parameterized constructor. See, data type, parameter name. So this parameter must use inside the body. So I'm using here. That I'm assigning to instance variable with this dot name. So why do you need a parameterized constructor? Please focus here, very important. So it is used to provide different values to the distinct objects. Read again. If you don't understand, read again. Parameterized constructor is used to provide different values to the distinct objects. That's the parameterized constructor purpose. If a class has a parameterized constructor, while creating object for the class, need to provide parameter values. Need to provide parameter values. Class name, reference variable equal to new class name. So we can give parameter 1 value, parameter 2 value, and parameter 3 value. So constructor overloading in Java. So constructor overloading. So what is meant by constructor overloading? So constructor overloading means it is a technique in Java in which a class can have n number of constructors. So how you will differentiate all these constructors, you can ask. By parameter list and data type is going to be different. Why? How you can differentiate means constructor name is same for all of them. How you will differentiate? The parameter list. So let me show you that example in Selenium. See that? This is the class. See how many constructors here. This is the one constructor. How many parameters here?
2.
3,
Huh?
2, sir.
Here?
2. Name value.
Here,
3, 4, 5.
so what is is it a name differentiated or so how it is, name is same, right? Same as a class name. Same as a class name, constructor name. But what is changing?
Parameter values.
Parameter count is changing. Parameter count is changing or parameter data type is going to change. So that is what I am covering here. Parameter list or data type is going to change. So the compiler will understand and differentiate these constructors by taking account of number of parameters in the list and their data type. That's the constructor overloading means. So what is the constructor overloading? A class can have multiple constructors with the same name, but parameters are different. That is called constructor overloading. So what is the difference between constructor and method? So constructor is used to initialize the state of an object. Method is used to write the behavior of an object. Constructor must not have a return type. Method must have a return type. Constructor is invoked implicitly. Method is invoked explicitly. Explicitly means you have to call the method. But a constructor, if you create object, constructor object line, constructor will be called automatically. So the Java compiler provides a default constructor if you don't have a constructor in the class. Method is not provided in any case. So constructor name must be same as its class name. Method name may or may not be same as its class name. So that's the main differences of a constructor and methods. Okay, that's all about constructors. Please write and send me your understanding of encapsulation and constructor both. And also take a mobile class. In the mobile class, you declare a variables, mobile type, mobile price, mobile manufacturer, mobile OS is the parameters you take, and then create the setters and getters and practice that. That I program also you do that. 2 exercises for you guys. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Any questions?
Sir, can you explain about distinct objects means what?
Each object. So
Okay.
you can create multiple objects, right?
Can you explain that sentence, please?
Distinct object means each object, madam. Object 1, object 2. For example, student S1 equal to new student. Student S2 equal to new student. S1 you can store the one person data. S2 you can store the another person data.
Okay.
Distinct means different. That's all.
Different.
Okay, sir.
The different data you can store.
Okay.
That you can basically in the what we did in the encapsulation through setter methods, you are setting the variable values, right?
Yes.
Now using the parameterized constructor, you can set your instance variable values also.
Okay, sir.
So either setter method you can use or parameterized constructor you can use.
Okay.
In the parameter constructor creation line itself, here you are creating a constructor object, right? Here
Yes.
you are going to give this parameter values. This
Okay.
P1 value, say this P1 value, this parameter value, and this P2 value, the P3 value, you can pass it in the object line itself.
Object.
So these values will go and store in your instance variables.
Okay.
It's another way to set the instance variable values through constructor. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.